Back at it, coming at you live, dude. Welcome to Work Hard.
What's crack-a-lackin', y'all?
Hope you guys are doing all right.
I wish I hadn't said that.
Too late.
It's too late. It's in there now, written in stone.
Yep.
But I won't do that again.
And you don't edit the podcast, which means I have all the power, and I will leave in everything that's embarrassing for you and take it all out for me.
That's all right. It's not that embarrassing. I will get over it.
Guys, hope you're doing well. My name is Ethan. With me is my co-host Jason. Welcome to Work Hard. We're in it, dude. I feel like I'm locked in now. So we're doing a double header again today.
Yes.
And so now I'm like all jazzed
we're
up.
going to be doing double headers from now on out.
Yeah. We should.
The second one's going to be fire. Do people still say that? Is that out?
Yeah, that's definitely out.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Lit is out too, isn't it?
Lit, probably not as out, but it's not. I would say lit is still used, but only in irony.
It's so funny the speed at which speech moves.
Yeah, dude.
Or maybe just feels like that because I'm.
No, it moves fast now.
It moves fast.
It moves fast. I am like, dang, that moves fast.
Yeah, and maybe you're about to. Well, you'll probably stay locked into culture longer than me because you're online more.
Right. Yeah.
So you'll stay up to. But I mean, the amount of slang words out there is just ridiculous.
Absurd. It's absurd. Yeah.
How do you even?
I love slang, dude. I hope that I just spit so loudly, it spiked the mic. You guys will hear that. Yeah. What I was thinking the other day about how funny it is that like I'm in the limbo place. So I was born in 1995.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of disagreement online where millennials end and Gen Zers start.
Okay.
And so I'm in the limbo of not really either belonging to
You're
either.
the gray area between.
Yeah. And it is funny to see like
it's kind of cool to straddle a fence in a way.
Yeah. There are a lot of like cultural references that people who are 30, like if they're like 32, they'll make a cultural reference that I will see as being like aged and like super cringe.
Like Pokemon?
Yeah, kind of.
I was really into Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean,
like
Pokemon
I said earlier this morning.
It's so relevant still today.
Which is nuts. It's like, isn't it the most successful franchise of all time?
Something like that, probably.
Like it's the most, it's something.
It's prolific. It's certainly prolific.
They found a formula that worked for
People
little boys.
Yeah, people love it. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
it's a great formula.
Yeah, but it is funny to like. There'll be people that I'm actually closer to in age that exist in a different culture than I do, than people that are further, like people that are like 5 years younger than me.
Yeah,
I feel more culturally in tune with.
Okay.
Than people who are like 3 years older than me. It's very strange. That's neither here nor there. I'm reading a book right now called Citizen Warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior Citizen, Citizen Warrior, whatever. It's written by Eric Prince.
Eric who?
Eric Prince.
Prince, okay.
Yeah, this is a millennial reference. Do you remember Blackwater?
No.
They were a private contracting organization that
was... I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was. Was it government contracting?
Military stuff?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I remember I'm old enough to remember most of at least the war in Iraq.
Okay, it's so close to what fiction is. There's so much fiction around those kinds of things that I guess if you had mentioned it to me, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, wasn't that a Jason Bourne thing?"
Yeah.
Is that a millennial reference?
No,
Jason Bourne.
Yes, but
is.
My mom loved Jason Bourne so much.
Yeah,
I've seen all of them, and I've watched them.
They were so cool.
They're some of the best spy movies ever made.
I haven't watched them. I gotta go back and watch them.
I might watch
See
them
if
today,
they hold.
They do. I watch them probably a couple times a year. They hold their water. Yeah, they're so good.
Nice. And Matt Damon's just phenomenal.
Dude, I'm gonna watch Jason Bourne today. Yes. Thank you, Jason.
You want another Matt Damon? Do you like Matt Damon in general?
Yeah, I think he's all right. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's pretty cool.
No, now I'm going to blank on the... I think it's called Promised Land. I think the movie is called Promised Land.
Okay.
It has John Krasinski in it as well.
Okay.
Plays Jim on The Office.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, they're in a movie about Matt Damon's character goes and he works for a giant corporation, a drilling corporation for, I think it was natural gas. Or
Oh,
you know this movie?
Yeah. I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Really good. Really good.
Okay. John Krasinski's like a farmer or something, right?
Sort of.
He like owns land that they want.
No, he comes in later in the movie. He's not from that area that the movie takes place.
Oh, okay.
He
Well, maybe I
comes in
don't know
from
what you're talking
outside
about.
and tries to warn people about the drilling.
Yes. Okay. I have seen that movie.
You have seen it?
I have seen
Okay.
it. Yes. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've seen it a couple times. I showed my wife, and she really enjoyed it as well, which is usually my litmus test for, like, I was not off on it, and it
Yeah.
didn't have objectionable material in it that I forgot from 15 years ago that I then showed her and was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I head censored this in the meantime. Forgot that scene was in here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any of those, really. It's
Good.
quite clean
Good.
from what I recall. But
Yeah.
do your own research.
Yeah, do your research. Yeah, so I'm reading this book about Blackwater, and Blackwater. I remember the war in Iraq vaguely. I don't remember like a ton of specifics. I have friends who fought, who are a little bit older than me that fought. So, whatever that. I'm just saying my age. Just like I'm almost 30, so I remember it. And I remember Blackwater being this like Alex, they're building a private army. They're gonna kill the Blackwater's coming in with FEMA. They're gonna come after you. Like I remember Blackwater being like everybody thought Blackwater was evil. Like everyone knew Blackwater was evil.
Yeah. It does have a pretty evil sounding name.
Yeah. It does.
They couldn't have picked a better villain
Dude,
corporation
dude,
name.
I mean, after listening to this book, dude, it's not an evil sounding name. It's the coolest name of all time.
Yeah.
Dude, the Blackwater guys, I wish I worked for Blackwater.
Yeah.
First of all, Eric Prince, the man. The guy who started Blackwater, he might be the coolest dude ever to have existed. He is so sick.
So is it a private military
it's a
contracting group?
PMC, private military contractor.
Okay, so they're
they
they're mercenaries then.
He would take a very serious issue with you saying the word mercenary. Eric Prince might hire Blackwater mercenaries to come kill you for saying that.
Because he's a mercenary.
There's an entire chapter where he's like, "We are not mercenaries."
Because there's a legal definition. There's
right?
A legal
But I mean, he's right, dude.
Okay.
His men,
so what's the difference?
His men are very serious. They're very professional. Most of them were special forces.
Uh-huh.
They had far less negative encounters with like the state. Dude, Blackwater's it's awesome. Okay,
Get back to the definition of a
mercenary, right? So mercenary.
I'm still waiting to hear why.
Mercenaryism is illegal.
Okay.
You cannot hire mercenaries. Not allowed. The difference between a mercenary and a PMC.
I'm sure nobody hires mercenaries then.
Right? Yeah. There's no way. Yeah. The Geneva Convention is very strictly enforced. There's never, ever is there war crimes ever committed by any major superpower. The mercenaries are hired as an army and are hired as soldiers who go out and do offensive missions they are attempting to kill people. They're being hired to fight a war.
Okay.
PMCs are not in the modern era. They are not. They are hired as security. So
they're defensive.
They are defensive in nature.
Okay.
And there's ways that they're allowed.
So they're not a conquering.
They're not
group.
a conquering force.
I see.
They are hired as security. So
All right.
Blackwater is a security organization, or was. It got sued out of existence by litigious dorks, but who don't like cool shit. But they were beloved by the one of the generals. One of the things that's talked about in the book is that the general approached Eric Prince one time and told him that all of his Marines on the dashboard of all of their vehicles, they had all the call signs and radio signals that all the Blackwater guys used because they knew if they got in trouble, it was more likely the Blackwater people were going to come help them than that the American government was going to come help them.
Okay.
And so they were beloved.
Yeah.
Because they would do these like
They're like guardian angels.
yeah, they would do these like suicide missions to help people out. Like
Yeah.
they would fly planes like insanely low to the ground to drop resources
Yeah.
for Marines that were stuck in locations and like come get people. Like there was a Polish ambassador who got stuck like in Fallujah or something.
Yeah.
And they were under attack. They were ambushed, and he was being protected by Polish special forces, but they got hit with a bomb, and like half of them got like their arms blown off, and like they were very seriously injured,
Ugh.
and they were stuck. They couldn't get out. And they were just under fire, and both the Polish and American army was like, we can't come get you because there's too many power lines in the streets, so we can't land a helicopter there. And so they called the Blackwater guys. The Blackwater guys called Eric Prince, and he was like, do whatever, I don't care, get them. And so they
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. And so they sent this little tiny helicopter in like the type of helicopter that if it gets hit by a bullet, it's crashing. Like it's tiny, this tiny little thing. They sent it in, and the guy slowly weaved it through all the power lines,
Right.
under fire, landed it, got out of it, loaded like a couple Blackwater contractors got out of it, loaded as many of the special forces Polish guys and the ambassador into the plane as it could carry.
Yeah.
They couldn't get on it, so they stayed. And then the Blackwater helicopter flew off with them and got them out.
Right.
And those guys got awarded like medals of honor from the Polish government, and like did all kinds of stuff.
Did those operators survive? The
Yeah.
ones that got left on the ground?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. They eventually got them out?
Yeah, and I think a few hundred Blackwater operators died in the course of Blackwater's operational capacity in Iraq.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
And
you can't pull maneuvers like that without,
right,
even with near superhuman,
training.
just the guts and bravado. That, man.
But there are so many times where you're listening to that book and you're just like, hell yeah, dude! You're like tears and pride, and you're just like, this is so cool. Like
That's how I feel about Band of Brothers, the book, or
yes,
watching the TV series.
Yes.
If you haven't read Band of Brothers,
Oh my
you need to read
gosh.
Band of Brothers. You
It's-
owe it to your patriotic self to listen to one of the most fantastic companies
Yes, and
in American military history.
it's one of those things that's like,
or at least the most famous.
One of
and
those-
survived tons of crap, despite, heavy casualties.
yeah.
They were really elite, and they still sustained super heavy They got used brutally.
Yes. And it's just one of those stories where it's like, you find yourself in a hard spot, and you can like save yourself by thinking, what would Major Winters do? Like,
Yeah.
how tough is he? What would he do here?
Yeah, Winters,
So, yeah, the book-
Winters is my hero.
Yeah, the book is really cool. The book is really cool, and it also sets the record straight for like a couple. There were two big things that happened that were just. I mean, the Army did these things once a year, and Blackwater did them one time, and they made a mistake, and they got ambushed. One of their convoys got ambushed.
Blackwaters did?
Yeah, and their men, in the process of defending themselves against that ambush, killed like 11 civilians.
Oh, okay.
Now that happened all the time. The American Army did that constantly.
Sure.
But Blackwater
Came under heavy fire.
came under
for
heavy
it.
fire because it was
they're
like
a
a political
private
thing. People were
organization,
trying. It was during a presidential election, and
So
it got
It was being leveraged for
Yeah.
political gain. Of
Yeah.
course. They got caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, so Blackwater actually sick. I used to think they were evil. They're not. Eric Prince is the man. He's so cool. He was a Navy dude. His background is insane. He comes from an insanely wealthy family, and just to prove that he wanted to be a hard worker to his dad, he became a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his dad, dude. One of the things is like tears to your eyes moment of like thinking about your dad and like the relationship with your dad is his dad passed away, and so the will was read to him, and
Right.
he found out during that time that I'll see if I can get through this without tearing up. His dad had set it so that his part of the money from his dad's incredible empire
Right.
was going to be reserved for him. He wasn't going to get access to it until he was like in his 40s or 50s or something like that.
Okay.
And his dad wanted to make sure that was to do that because he wanted him to go out and work hard and do his own thing. But then his dad passed away when he was in his 30s, and his dad had changed it so that he would get the money whenever his father passed away. Because
okay.
He's had said that I can't even do the quote. There's no way I can actually say the quote because I will shed a tear. But he basically has said that I have absolutely no reason to doubt my son's work ethic at this point because of his current accomplishment. Yeah, what he's done. Yeah, and so that you're just like, oh. And then and Eric Prince's wife died when they were in their 30s.
Oh my word!
Of cancer. And then he talks about how right after that, the very first time he had ever lost men. So Blackwater existed. They had contractors in Iraq, maybe in Afghanistan, but his wife passed away. His father was gone. And then shortly after that, for the first time ever, Blackwater contractors had been killed.
Hmm.
And he was just like, I felt totally alone.
Yeah.
Both the people I would have gone to for advice on what to do were gone.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any, and I was just like, I was sitting there, I was like, I had just done, I don't remember what I was doing, but I was listening to it, eating Taco Bell in my car. and I was just like, just like listening to this guy talk. It was so great. So Eric Prince, the man, Blackwater, awesome.
How old is he now then? Is he in his 40s or 50s now?
I think he's in his early 40s.
Okay, so this wasn't that long
young.
ago then.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I mean, it can't have been that long. Of course, I say that. And how long has the Iraq War gone on? How long had it gone on?
Yeah,
Only just ended recently?
Yeah, it just ended and all...
Terribly.
Yeah.
We won't even get into it. Yeah. Anyway, where we're at? We're at 16 minutes.
Yeah, 16 minutes, but I was comfortable with that because I think this goes well with our topic today.
I just let's actually get to our topic.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about Blackwater for the whole episode.
Yeah, just do it again. We're just run it back. Run back the. 30 minutes in. Guess this is the episode now.
This is the episode. What else can we say about it?
Yeah, today our topic of discussion is confidence, and I think, dude, I mean, you can talk about a guy who had confidence. Eric Prince was the man. But the kind of the context that we want to talk about this in is having the confidence to know when it's time to... Oh, kids are back.
Uh-oh.
Hello, everybody. How do you want to address this? Should we pause?
Let's pause for a second.
We're back.
Momentary disruption.
We had to relocate. We're now in the truck or the car.
You're quite a bit louder.
Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, it knocked me up a lot. Oh, you know what it was? I had you tuned to you because this was you earlier. All right, how's that?
Is that better?
I think that's better.
That looks better.
Cool.
Nice.
So we were talking about confidence. This was also we had to relocate, so we're in the truck. We don't have access to power, and
we didn't communicate with my family. They came home at a normal time, and we were still recording.
Yes,
because we decided to do a doubleheader.
Yes, Jason and we were playing it fast and loose, and we paid for it. So
when you don't tell your wife that you're playing it fast and loose,
yeah,
she will maintain some sort of schedule and normalcy and be surprised as to what you just bought.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you bought how much Bitcoin?
Yeah.
What's Bitcoin?
Everything we had.
I decided it was the right time.
Yeah.
Which leads us into our topic.
Confidence. Yes.
We're getting back to it.
So the context that we're going to use here for confidence is having the I guess the best way I've been able to describe, because we talked on the phone about it a little bit earlier, and I was having a really hard time making a succinct, poignant description of what I was trying to say, and so I think an example is a good way to say it. So for a long time, I got a lot of feedback from people when I was a kid and when I was in high school and even through college. I got a lot of feedback from people who were older than me, adults when I was a kid, and then older adults when I was in college, who used to tell me all the time that I was impulsive. The people used to say I was an impulsive person. And it wasn't until I asked my wife to marry me 6 months after we met that I realized that I wasn't. It's not that I'm impulsive; it's that I'm
Decisive.
I'm decisive, and
The difference between the two being impulsive is not being prepared.
right. You're not
and
thinking
just,
about
you're
it.
not thinking about it ahead of time. You don't have the base knowledge to make a good decision. You just make the decision based on emotions
Right.
and momentary stimuli of whatever it is.
Right.
And decisive is the fact that you know who you are, what you stand for, what your goals are. You have a mission statement for your life. And when an opportunity arises, you make a quick decision on it, but it's a decision that's based in knowledge and mission.
Yeah. It's based. Yeah.
But it will look on the outside. Here's the trick: is it looks on the outside very similar to impulsiveness
right.
to people who are not on the same page you are.
Right. Right. And people operate out of fear. That is the primary motivation for human beings, and so they will. I won't say the group of people that were advising me on this, but when we decided that we were going to buy property out here and like hobby farm, there was a particular group of people that we were close to who they were cautioning us against it, telling us we shouldn't do it, and and these are older people in our lives. They're these. Their advice, they were like, "You sure you want to do that? That's going to be hard."
Yeah, we got that too.
Yeah, that was their thing, was that it's hard.
When I talked about farming, especially to people who were farmers,
Yeah.
oh, farming is a lot of work.
Which is an insane thing to tell somebody to try to dissuade them from something. It's a lot of work.
Thanks for calling me lazy, jerk.
Yeah, thanks for calling me lazy. And like, what do
I
you?
don't think you could do it.
Yeah, I don't think you could
This
do
is
it.
what I hear.
But also, like, what do you think good things are? How do you think you get things you want?
Or how do you think? Well, not just that you want, but how do you think you obtain anything worth obtaining?
Yeah, it's that's easy. Like, no wonder you're gray and fat and like, yeah, dude, things are hard. Things are hard. Good things are hard to get.
Well, and also, do you honestly look back at your life and go, I wish I'd worked less hard?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
To those people, I don't understand I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't
Is
either.
it that they're lazy? Because a lot of times those people have worked very hard at things, but they caution you sometimes so strongly. They have so many reasons for not doing a thing
Yeah,
that it's amazing they accomplished anything.
right. Yeah. It is amazing. That is true. That's so fun. It's amazing they accomplished anything. Yeah. And they were like, this is the advice of these, like, say, these 50-year-old people who have like worked their entire lives and raised families or whatever. And the like sage advice they have for us as we're endeavoring to build the future of our lives and decide how we want our lives to go. The thing that here's your moment to speak some quintessential life-changing truth into a young person who you're responsible for guiding, and your thing is that it's hard. That's a non-starter.
Or that you don't make very much money doing that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I loathe that.
Oh my gosh. I get it. Listen, I like money. I like the finer things in life.
Everybody likes money.
Yeah.
Nobody in the world is like, I hate money.
Yeah, I'll say this. I was raised at a certain level, a standard of living
Yeah.
that requires a lot of money to maintain. And so it's like I am in pursuit of getting a lot of money so that I don't have to revert back.
What we were talking about last episode about having to back off your life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I remember getting the new Xbox.
I want to keep the boat.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I got a new Xbox for Christmas every Christmas. I want the new Xbox for Christmas.
Want to continue getting the next Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, but telling somebody, you just don't make very much money that way.
Right. That is not advice, and that is not like something you should be telling
Especially
people.
when it comes to food production, I find it the most stupid thing to say. It's
Yeah.
conventional wisdom. Because, and you know why? So maybe this comes into conflict a little bit with... So you've talked about how farming has become so efficient, right?
Right.
And it's become efficient because of government force and coercion,
Well,
and
I think that's
subsidizing and competition that has marginalized, has made the margins so razor thin on farming that, yeah, you don't make money because the farmer himself is in debt. He's running off of debt of all this machinery he has that allows him to actually harvest the massive amounts of food he's growing.
Right. Well, I would say my argument that I would make is that farming in its natural state today has become so efficient, and that the only reason that monocrop agriculture, like that style of farming, exists today is because of governments. I think if the government relaxed and let markets take precedent, I think what you want to do is obviously it's like superior in every way. It's so superior in every way that when you hear someone like you talk about it, you have this like cognitive dissonance because you're like, well, that's obviously more efficient. Why is it that we're doing it this other way? And you're like, well, the market is in control, so obviously, like, if they're doing it that way, that must be the appropriate way to do it. But it's not. It's synthetic because the government is forcing
and the cost is artificially lowered in the grocery store because certain things are subsidized. So your tax dollars are actually going to pay, and so the price of whatever is artificially lower than the organic small farmer.
Right.
Not because of scale production, partially because of that, but mostly because the massive inputs that you need for conventional farming, having to fertilize land that has no good soil anymore because you've tilled it and sapped all of its nutrients out through corn and soy and other crap that we don't need that much of for all of our artificial, highly processed foods, that there's nothing being put back into that soil except artificial, expensive fertilizers.
Right.
So you take something out of the soil, and if you never add anything back in, all you're doing is robbing your land.
Right.
We're going to leach all of the nutrients out to grow corn, soy, and whatever else.
Right. So the way you want to do it is actually the only way.
You've got to rotate things. You've got to, you have to have a soil biology that builds itself and increases in productivity year by year, as opposed to decreases every time you have a crop in it.
Right. And that ties into the confidence thing, and because it's like the entire world that Jason is in is telling Jason that the way he wants to do this thing is inefficient, incorrect, and not going to be whatever. But Jason has the confidence to go, you are all wrong.
Because of people like, I was just mentioning Joel Salatin to you a minute ago.
Right.
And so small farms have or had been made nearly impossible through government interference in the market.
Right.
Just like it's impossible, we were talking about hospital costs being so ridiculously high because of government coercion and control.
Right.
So if you were to let that go, costs would come down. You could have private hospitals that would compete with each other and find a happy medium of quality.
Right.
So it's like you want to go to the slapdash doctor because that's all you can afford and your risks are higher, but it's better than dying.
Right.
Sure. Go to that guy who's willing to do a back alley surgery for you.
Yeah.
And the rate of infection's higher, but you can actually afford it.
Right.
And if you want to pay premium top dollar for the top surgeons, you go ahead and do that. But it would still be hopefully less than you'd be able to pay in cash or set up a payment plan, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
There'd just be way more options than saying you have to have insurance or it's going to be so expensive. I'm getting off the topic. But to me, it seems insane to say, well, you can't farm that way.
Right.
When the entire world has subsisted on farming that way.
Forever.
It's the way God made the world to work.
Right.
It's the way he made soil, and the U.S. government in the last 50 years didn't change soil. You didn't change God's plan. It's like, well, now it works better to eliminate all insects, all weeds, all birds, all diversity, and have one thing grown over acres and acres and acres, and to alter it in a lab so that it grows despite that it's not killed by the poisons we dump on it.
Right.
And that it's grown primarily off of 3 different types of fertilizers that we dump onto it that we've also synthesized in a lab because we can't abide having a balance of good and bad insects like God's world does.
Yeah.
Our solution is nuke them.
Right.
And in the process destroy the chain of life compact your soil so there's no air in the soil and there's no earthworms. There's nothing that's feeding the soil except the crap that you dump on it with more heavy machinery.
Right.
That also costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and increases the debt of the nation.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to repair it.
Are you not?
Yeah, because like John Deere like puts like software in it so that you can't repair the vehicles. You have to take them in to be serviced.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
so
can you
therefore,
imagine? Think about
the
that.
expense.
Yeah.
That's kind of just newer vehicles, period.
Yeah,
Harder.
it is.
You can't really.
It is. Yeah. So what we're talking about.
I'm not impressed when I see enormous harvesting equipment.
Right. Right.
I think I just see enormous wastes of
you
mechanical
see
power.
The amount of human energy and ingenuity that has to be brought to bear to deal with government corruption.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what that is.
Yeah.
That's just the tremendous.
And I'm not knocking machines at all.
They're cool.
So, well, they're very cool. Yeah, tractors are incredibly amazing.
Yeah,
but they're
they're
also
sick.
incredibly expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
yeah,
you've been around, like, the amount of repair time on my boss's tractor for things is like, for the amount of heavy work you're doing with it, I wonder if you don't just kind of break even at the end of the day with the amount of money and time they have to spend repairing the things. It's like, could you not have also spent the same amount of man hours just digging that trench yourself?
Right. Right.
When you even it out over the whole year or 5 years?
Do you have a scythe?
I do.
Can I borrow it?
It's not a very good one.
Oh, okay.
It's used for it's an antique scythe and the handle's
okay.
starting to crack. I do plan on getting one that's a lighter weight, modern one for like cutting thinner grasses because I need to, since my sheep have gone, I needed to actually cut some tall grass and it's, my weed whacker is terrible.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I'm trying to use.
You can get one. You can get one for about $100 though.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I will remind me. I'll show you a website you can look around.
Okay.
What did we just touch? What was that beep?
That was from my phone.
Oh, okay, good deal. So the confidence to know why you're doing something.
Yeah.
And to ignore the people who are just worriers and naysayers, who may be well intentioned, and maybe just naysayers,
Right.
careless
Yeah.
naysayers, who go, well, I don't know, I've never heard of that before. And instead of asking questions, they have a bunch of reasons why that sounds hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could never do that, those people.
Yeah. And there's like, I think another good example of what we're talking about here is when I was in high school, I got hit constantly with like not parent-teaching meetings, but like my teachers reaching out to my parents and people saying to me all the time, like, oh, like imagine what you would do if you just applied yourself, and trying to get me to go into the like the gifted and talented program and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not, this is not bragging. Okay. I'm just telling, it's just an example. It's convenient. So it's easy for me to say it. So I'm not like tooting my own horn or whatever, but I think at one point I got like one of the highest tax test, which is the standardized tests in Texas.
Yeah.
I got like one of the highest scores ever recorded or something like that. Like I did it like perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think I did it. You have like 2 days to do it, and I did it in like 3 hours. That was like why it was like one of the reasons why it was like a high score, because I did it so quickly.
Okay.
And I don't know how to study. Never studied before. So I just like sat down and did it. And I knew inherently, I said this to Jason earlier, I knew inherently that public school was a waste of time. But I didn't, I was young, I was a kid, so I didn't have the confidence to listen to people telling me I needed to try harder and just tell them, not even tell them this, just know in my heart, this person's retarded, they don't know what they're talking about, I'm just going to ignore this and continue on my merry way. But the reason that I bring this up is because it created this cognitive dissonance in me that was like incredibly anxiety inducing and took a ton of my mental energy and disenfranchised me against the entire system. I really struggled with this for years and years and years, not being able to take anything seriously and being very like nihilistic, because I thought that like the introduction I had to like the system, like going to getting a job and paying taxes and being a productive person, the introduction I had to that was the public school system. And I was just like, this is so whack. Like everything, like, first of all, this is completely retarded. I never learned anything at school. Everything I learned, all the knowledge I have today is from books I read when I was a kid that I read by myself.
So you were homeschooled, really?
Yeah, I've homeschooled myself basically, and I never did any homework. Jason, I never put a pencil to paper in public school, and I made like A's and B's. I don't even remember how it's possible that I did that. I don't actually remember doing anything, and so it was so absurd. And had I had the confidence to say, this is all stupid and you're wrong, everybody around me is wrong, I'm right, I know that I'm going to go use my energy on something different, then I probably would have. And listen, I love the life I live today. I love my family. My vocation is a struggle for me, and it is something I lament often. Like, I wish I would have had the confidence to tell my parents I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to write and be a comedian, and pursued that. I would probably be a pretty successful writer and comedian right now if I had done that. But I was too scared to go off the beaten path and to tell people that they were wrong, and to tell people that I didn't, the odds that you're going to be successful or whatever. Like, I don't care. And now I'm confident enough, after years of working on that, and praying and you grow up and you gain a lot of confidence as a byproduct of growing up as a man, you gain a lot of confidence. And so now I just don't.
Sure, life experience gives you that.
Right. I just don't care. Like, I don't care what other people say about the odds. I don't care about the actual odds. I don't care. I'm doing this.
Very Han Solo approach.
Yeah. Never
tell me the odds.
Never tell me the odds.
Maybe there's our next T-shirt. Although I'm sure Disney would have something to say about it.
Be pretty upset. But the
hey, there's our title. Never tell me the odds.
I like it. There we go. Boom. And so it's just what's the point of what we're trying to say here? We're trying to I think we're trying to save you time. We're trying to save you time. As a young man, if you're 22, you're going to lack confidence, and people are going to tell you stuff that's going to throw you off, and you need to trust yourself. You need to trust that you know what you want, and you need to go after those things. And you also need to balance that with the fact that you do need to pay your bills.
And that when you're young, you are pretty stupid sometimes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and so you do need to have enough.
There's maybe more impulsiveness than this is one thing for us as almost 30 and over 30-year-olds to be saying, you had an idea of what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I always knew what I wanted to do.
See, the only thing that I knew I wanted to do was be a family man.
Okay.
And I always said from a young age, I said I had no career aspirations whatsoever.
Yeah.
I said I think the only thing I wanted was to be able to do something with my family. The earliest memory I have of, and maybe I've already said this on this podcast, was the grocery store idea. The family-based business.
Oh, yeah.
Was something I wanted since I was probably 10.
Right.
And now I'm trying to make that a fruition thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of held on to that, I guess.
Yeah. So
I didn't. I mean,
you had a concept, kind of.
I had a concept of what seemed like the right way to do things.
Right. You had like a lifestyle you wanted.
That would be. I don't know. It was just the thought that, hey, it would be really neat to have a family. I know I want a family, and it'd be really neat if we all worked at something together.
Right.
That was my only concept of a specific. It wasn't even a specific career. The idea was a grocery store because that's where I saw it and pictured there being a task for everybody of almost all ages. The kids can sweep the floors and restock things, you know?
Right.
So you could have the whole family from young to old working in a little grocery store.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so you had something in your mind and your vision, and I'm sure that there was tons of conventional wisdom, I say that in air quotes, that told you, well, that's just not. You got to go get a job.
Yeah, it's not practical.
Yeah, it's not practical.
And I don't think I ever voiced that, so I guess I didn't get told that. I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't trying to find a way to do that necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always writing. And making jokes, and I was very open about like in high school, people would be like, what do you want to do? And
See, I was more directionless than you then.
Yeah.
So I do not have So now, years later, I've resurrected it. I come back across it through reading books and realized that is historically what people did. That's why it felt right, is because I think that's what God has put into the heart of man, to work with your family. I think that's the natural state of the family, is to work together, and that's the way it stays tied together, and that's part of why you see the fractioning of families.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that.
But you at least had a direction. So I'm just saying that to balance it and say the teens or 20s that we're talking to may not have much of a direction to be confident in.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I think that's, I think you're right.
They might be apathetic, I guess. So they're like, well, yeah, I might choose to do something, but I don't know. I have no idea what it would be.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say is that even if you don't have I want to be a welder, I want to be a writer, I want to be a web developer or whatever. Like, if you don't have that in your head, I think, and I think everybody, or at least all men, have a pretty clear vision. By the time they're in their early 20s, I think they have a pretty clear vision of the lifestyle that they want. So, like, do you want to have a boat? Do you want to be working with your family? Like, what do you want your life to look like? And I think that even if you don't have like a vocational aspiration that's specific, like I had,
you have a goal you want to reach.
You have a goal you want to reach, and so that's still something you can like go for. Like a good example of that is Chase. Chase, we had this episode about vision that I would encourage you guys maybe even listen to that in tandem. Go back and listen to that. I don't remember which episode number it is, but it'll be in the description. You need to have like, if you have some vision, like Chase had a vision, and he had like an idea vocationally of how he was going to get there, and then he changed it in college because he thought there's a different way I need to go about getting this vision. But he had like a vision for his life that he wanted to facilitate with work, and he had the confidence to kind of go after that. For me, I had a very specific. I'm trying to think of the first time I thought I really started to think I wanted to be a writer, and I think it was in middle school. The very first time I ever wrote a story, a fiction story, I think I was probably 11. Was probably when I started writing. And basically up until I was about 25, from 11 to 25, I battled with this idea that I couldn't be a writer because that didn't make sense. And that was because I did not have the confidence to tell everybody else to kick rocks. And I wrote off and on. I never really stopped writing during that time, but it was a real point of very sincere misery for years for me. Even after Emily and I got married, like, there were days where I was so miserable because I knew in my heart that this was my future, that hyper premium, that writing, that comedy, that fiction writing, that all of this stuff, that this was my future. I knew in my heart that that's what I was supposed to do, and God was convicting me very strongly that that's what I was supposed to do. But I had this like there's this top layer of like, well, you got to get a job, and you got to do this, and you got to like, and it's just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense economically. Like, what are you going to move to LA? No, you're not going to move to LA. Like, I should have the confidence to, I don't care. I don't have to move to LA to make this work. I'm going to make this work. You know?
There's that bumper sticker, which I hate, that says, well-behaved women rarely make history.
Yes, yeah.
Which is true.
For men.
Yes. And it's like, well, yeah, those women are... it's used as an excuse to be boorish and awful.
Right.
And do whatever you want selfishly, I think is what that bumper... It's an outpouring of feminist stupidity.
Right. But
that's and when I say well-behaved, I don't mean polite, because you should be polite and conscientious and good to your family, not a drunk or rude in society.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean by ill-behaved. So I think well-behaved meaning a good citizen, in air quotes.
Right.
Of doing what you're told, doing the public school thing of falling into line and being a cog.
Right.
There is a certain sense of being a cog in your community, but not in the same way that it is to be a cog for the United States machine.
Right.
Economic machine as a consumer.
Right.
Go and work so you can earn dollars, so you can spend dollars to get things that make you temporarily happy.
Right.
And pay your bills and then buy boats that you can't afford and make payments on them to keep the banks afloat.
Yeah.
And to pad the pockets of fat cats.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by by striking out, being an entrepreneur in some way, having side ventures, doing valuable things that improve society, that improve your family life, improve your family relations.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think...
you're going to offend people. I guess that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
well-behaved is
people.
If you're those people, the men who made history, the men who are making history right now, like Doug Wilson, is well-hated and well-loved.
Right. Yeah, you're going to be very polarizing.
You're going to offend a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you're going to upset a lot of people by not following their advice.
Right. Yeah, if you are universally beloved, you're probably not doing anything that's actually consequential.
I don't know. I think you would just be hated by the people who are entrepreneurs and see you as a fake cog. So I don't know if anyone can be universally beloved.
Right. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying the people who would be like, that guy's he's just another suit.
Right. Yeah. So you got to have the confidence, man. You have to have the confidence to offend people when it's necessary in order to get the thing that you're being convicted by the creator of the universe to do. You have to have that. You have to have faith in yourself and in the God that created you. And mostly in the God that created you. That's obviously, faith in yourself is useless outside of faith in God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that comes second. But
how about instead of faith in yourself, how about confidence to do what's right and best?
Yeah, that works. That's better.
Yeah, because that's a godly. You are called to do what is right and what is best for your family, and what is God glorifying, and what is a good management of your resources.
Right.
And it's debatable whether or not just going to work and piling up your 401k is the best use of your resources.
Yeah.
It may be. It's better than blowing it on. Saving up money in a 401k is far better than a lot of ways you can spend your money.
Yeah.
By not saving it.
Right.
It's a darn sight better.
Yeah.
It's at least the right mentality of, I'm not going to spend everything right away for pleasure.
Right.
So I shouldn't knock 401ks, but...
Yeah. I mean, I'll knock 401ks. They suck.
There's other more active ways to invest
you
and
shouldn't
manage.
be doing it. Index funds are whack. You shouldn't be. And that's what a 401k is. It's usually whatever. It doesn't matter.
We could have an argument there.
Yeah, we could. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, crap. I think that we're trying to save you time here, and I think because it was just I personally wasted so much energy and time. Mostly a big place of it was college. I should never have stepped foot in a college. Never, ever. And I wasted, from the time I was 17 to like 23 or 24, trying to graduate college. And it was such a waste of money and such a waste of time. And it messed me up bad. And I was really, I'll tell the story just because it's a cool story, but I couldn't sleep. For a decade, I couldn't sleep. I was so anxious about this exact topic that I couldn't sleep for 10 years. Because I knew what I wanted, and I just didn't have the confidence to tell everyone else that they were wrong for going after it. And so I kind of just half in, half out, always halfway going after it, always halfway not. And I always just had in the back of my mind that I was going to do this. And I've tried to podcast. This is the 17th rendition of me podcasting. Work hard is.
Is it?
Yeah. So I always knew I was going to try to do that. Well, I was very, very energetically misaligned with myself. And I was not trusting God and taking risks and doing what needed to be done in order to do this thing that I knew in my heart God was compelling me to do. And it took so much energy and so much time and destroyed so many good years of my life. So many great memories. I look back on those memories and I still remember the nagging, terrible weight of the anxiety and depression that I was suffering from, even in the background of those fantastic memories. And so I'll tell you the story because it's cool. That persisted really pretty much until this year. Like I felt that way until like this year.
Yeah.
And it really, really, really started to truly go away when I went to Austin to go see Sam Hyde do stand up. I don't know if you remember when I did that, but
that was recent.
All right, cool.
Yeah, really recent. A month ago?
Recent. No,
Was
it's like 2 or
Was
3
it 2?
months. Yeah, 2 or 3 months ago.
Time flies. Anyway.
It might be 3 months ago, bro.
Mercy.
Yeah.
I was like pretty sure that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it really
That's what
didn't.
it feels like.
It didn't start to fully go away until I had this experience. So I saw Sam Hyde in Austin. I don't know if I told the story on the podcast, but I'll tell it again. I went and saw Sam Hyde do stand up in Austin, and just for those of you that don't know, Sam Hyde's like the single greatest influence I've ever had, creatively, personally. Like, if there's anybody that I come close to being like obsessed with, or like just, I don't know, I just like Sam Hyde a lot. And so his stuff is very profound for me, and he did a meet and greet after the stand-up special, or after the, not a special, but after the show. And so I let everybody else go first before me. And I stood there and I was
sure
like,
you were last.
Dude, I was like stone-faced, so serious. And I went, even now I'm telling the story, I can feel the emotions. I finally got a chance to go up to him, and him and Nick Rochefort and Charles Carroll were standing there, the three guys that make up this comedy troupe, MDE, that Sam Hyde leads. And I went up to Sam, and I didn't even, like, other people like walked up to him and like stood in front of him and talked to him for a second, got him to sign something. I walked up and hugged him. I walked up and went like this to him and put my arm around him. He's huge. He's like,
oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's like 6'6", like 6'4".
Really?
Yeah, he's like 250
he doesn't
pounds.
look like that
Yeah, he's giant.
Okay.
And I'm big, so like, he's big. I'm standing next to him, and I'm like, dude, he's so big, and I'm huge. So he was like, so I like wrapped my arm around him and like side hugged him and like grabbed his neck, and I was like being very intense, and I was like, dude, I was a loser. I was an alcoholic. And I saw your stuff. I had this terrible girlfriend. I was so angry and so disenfranchised and so confused, and I didn't understand why I couldn't get life together and all this stuff. And I saw this thing, Kickstarter TV, and it was this series that he made a while ago, like 10 years ago, that really went hard on people, basically on everything that I didn't know that I hated at that point, but did. And and the vapid sort of whimsical retardation people had about stuff, and so that was the series it was about. And so I told him, I was like, and I saw KSTV, dude, and it gave me like a voice, and I like all of a sudden everything became so clear, and then I like I got everything together. Like, it was such a pivotal moment for me to see that. And I'd never heard anybody talk like that before. And there was this point where he, like, in one of the series, he sneezes, like in one of the episodes, and he doesn't even attempt to shield it at all. He just like right into the camera, and like, and it was, and I just never seen anybody just be like, I don't care about the rules like that before. And it was so freeing and liberating. And I told him that, and then I looked over and I pointed at Emily, and I started crying, and I went, "That's my wife." And I looked back at him, and I went, "We have a daughter." And I was crying, and I looked back at him, and he was crying, and he started like full hugging me, and was like, "We have a daughter." And I was like, I'm gonna cuss because that's what I said. I work hard as dude. I go so hard. I go so fucking hard. and I make so much money, and I take care of everyone around me, and I am indomitable, dude. I am a monster. And he was like, yeah, dude. He was like, his voice was shaking. He was like crying, and I looked at I looked at Nick, and Nick was crying, and Nick started talking to Emily, and started asking her, and he was like wiping his, and Emily was like, Nick was like crying, like he could like barely talk.
Ugly crying.
Yeah. And so then I like stepped back from them and like said my piece, said the last thing I wanted to say to them, and I was like, dude, I don't know what you guys sacrificed to do what you did, because Sam got canceled, like it was a big deal, and I was like, I don't know what you guys sacrificed to be here, to bring Indeed to fruition. I don't understand the depth of what you guys did to do this, but thank you for doing it. And Sam took my hand in his hand and was like, he was like, thank you, dude. Thank you for coming here and saying that. And I was like, dude, absolutely. And then I was like, you guys have a good night. I dapped them up. I hugged all three of them. I was like, thank you so much. And they were like, yeah, dude, of course. And then I walked around. I like got away from them as quickly as I could, walked around the corner of the bar, and just like burst into tears. And Emily was like rubbing my back. And then I just had this moment, dude. It was so crazy, where it's just like everything sunk in all at once. And I knew in that moment that I was going to get famous enough to talk to them again.
Okay.
Like I had known, like, dude, like I know my name is Ethan. Like I know the sky is blue. I knew that I was going to get famous enough to talk to them again. And
you're going to be a co-creator more than just a fan?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
A peer.
Yeah, a peer. Yeah, I'll be a peer. Like I will see them again. I will talk to Sam again. And it will be on a more even keel. Like I'm going to meet him.
Even footing.
Yeah. And like I just knew it. I knew it.
You're like, yeah, I'm 30,000 followers behind you, but
yeah, I'm like like 500,000, 500,000. But
this is drop. The power's dropping. Like
okay, power's dropping,
I hate
guys.
to cut you off, but
yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that's a good place to end it. We're at an hour. That's a pretty good story. I like that story. I like telling that story.
Yeah.
So guys, have the confidence to do what you have to do in life, to go after the things you have to go after.
Stop at nothing to create your family and build your community.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it.
Yeah. Be relentless.
If it is God's will that you do it, it will come to fruition.
Yeah.
Have the faith and know that you will have to change direction a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like Chase did. Don't be so set on a thing that you say this is the way it has to happen.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it will happen a different way.
Yeah.
But if you desire a good thing, God will give it to you.
And
so,
if you fail,
as defined by God.
Yeah, if you fail, whatever you got out of trying is what God wanted you to get.
Yes, and it's not that you shouldn't have done it. It's that was a learning experience.
Right.
So
right.
failures are learning experiences. They're not wasted time necessarily.
All right, we love you guys. We're praying for you. Please go to church, find a woman, treat her right. We're going to jump here because the computer's about to die. But yeah, we love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Take care.